Oh, guys, you may notice this is a slightly different map from every map I've been using. That is because this map is from episode 80, right before World War V broke out. If we take a look at the alliances, you can see every alliance that exists. It was directly right before the world broke out. So, we'll, but that's not what we'll be looking at. As at the time of recording, I am only at 97 subscribers. However, this video should be posted when I have 80, or not 80, 100. And that is because this video is looking at a scenario where Caucasia forms an empire inside of WICSO. So, if you enjoy today's video, which I definitely will, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later. And let's get started. So, like I was just saying, Caucasia will be forming a empire in this episode. There is currently a major country in an alliance north of them, being Russia. We also see Persia is in an alliance that's not as hard to get to, or that they're not as bad as a threat. But we also see the economic alliance here in Mesopotamia, the MEO, and that could pose an issue. Alright, but we're also going to quickly take a look at this, the ideologies. Almost every country surrounding me is a democracy. We see one monarchy across the Caspian Sea, being the Green Team, and we also see the Russians, which I believe this is a dictatorship. The last thing we'll take a look at is the AN, which, and we'll add the AN security, as we do see Greece is in there, which could be a possible threat, but mostly I don't think it will be much issue. But I suppose it's actually time to get started. So, like I did in my other What If Country Made an Empire videos, the Caucasians will be extremely strengthened, and what we see happening is, or what we'll see happening is them firstly declaring war on this light blue country. The Caucasians are likely much stronger, as, like, just comparing them, Caucasians were, or have been, a nation for much longer. I haven't used provinces, to be honest, but I will use major cities. So we see them go after these couple major cities, and once capturing those, on the major cities later, once capturing the two major cities, it will not be very much longer until they capture the capital and the country falls. And you'll be seeing full annexation and no more capital. Mm. So with this, we see them, or we see the Caucasians rapidly expanding their military even more, gaining more population, as they just got 3 new major cities. But with this happening, and a couple countries may see this as a threat. these countries being the Sea of Azov country, these two nations here, and even a couple nations across the Caspian Sea. But we do see a couple countries that will side with the Caucasians in order for their own gain. And this country is none other than the Gold Team. As taking a look at the alliances layer, the Gold Team is in a alliance. And it just so happens that this alliance is against Russia. And Russia has been expansionist and just recently expanded into the borders along Caucasia. So we see Caucasia will join up with the Pentagon Alliance in hopes of being able to protect their country and maybe get some new land. Now, aside from this, we will see we do see the Caucasians will declare war on the next country. And if I didn't already hint to you, it is going to be the Azov country. The Caucasian military will go in first, soon followed by the Gold Team, the Gold Ukraine team, as they very quickly get close to the capital. They reach out, taking this major city, and close in on the next major city. We then see the Caucasians move up the coast and eventually cutting off the Azov country from the coast, getting any aid from outside nations. And we see Russia join this war as, to be honest, this Azovian country was very likely the next target of these guys. They would be able to get access to the Black Sea. It just it just makes sense. And with the Russians joining this war, it will go very bad for the Azovians as the capital is captured and the country is forced to surrender. So we'll take a look at a peace treaty here. Alright, so here we have the peace treaty. We see Caucasia getting all of this land, following the provinces, as I tended to not do in my WICSO. We see the Gold Team getting all of this, and the remaining bit going over to Russia. So now Caucasia is almost completely just stuck. They could go across the Caspian Sea or continue into Anatolia. However, this is a very thin line that they would have to cross. So, what they will do is they will eventually decide to continue into Anatolia, going after this country here. They will, with the help of the Gold Team, be able to quickly capture this capital here, or not capital, but major city, and eventually capture this major city here as well. They will then push up into or towards um the capital. I was blinking so bad. They'll push up towards the capital of this country, and eventually you see the Gold Team, aka naval landing over here on this major city in order to help out the Caucasians even better. We also see Crete joining this war as they had. Actually, I think it was over here that they lost the land. No, it was for here they lost land. I don't know if they lost land over here, but we'll say they did, and they will invade up into this nation, capturing the final major city. The Caucasians will complete a encirclement of troops here, leading to a major victory on their side, and eventually the capital of the country is captured, and it surrenders over. And we'll take a look at a peace treaty for this as well. Alright, so here we have our peace treaty. It's a little bit weird, considering, yeah, it's a little weird considering how it's all worked out. But Caucasia will be getting this. So it's not there, and a little pixel there. All of this will be going over to the Cretes. I call them Crete, or the Cretians, or whatever. And finally, this little bit here will go over to the gold team. Now, we can see a couple different things happen. Caucasia could A, go across the Caspian Sea, where there's a couple weaker nations, and then you get to stronger nations like Persia, the B team, Tibet, and India. You could attempt going south, where you meet the red team. You would have help from the gold team and Poland, probably, but that could still not be enough. Or you could invade this country here, or last week, you could invade the country that just helped you out. So, what will Caucasia be doing? Well, they will be invading you know, this South Anatolian country. As soon as they enter in, they capture a major city, as it is pretty much right along the border. They'll quickly be able to cut the country into two parts, eventually moving south, capturing another major city. We see them continue moving out through the country, trying to put the country into multiple parts again, being successful in doing so. Eventually, most of this area here will fall, and they'll continue to close in on the capital city, eventually being able to capture it, and capturing the rest of the land here. And this will be full annexation, removing the capital, it should be right there. Alright, so now you're getting a bit more stuck. You could still go across the Caspian Sea. You could try your luck with the red team, or you could invade Crete. And what will the Caucasians do? They will do none of those. Instead, we see a couple new countries join the Pentagon Alliance. Those are the Brown Russians up here, this small Cyan team, maybe, and lastly, Finland rejoins them. And this is because these countries will all work together alongside with the pink team, and they will attack Russia. Now, notably, none of these countries border a triangle team member. So none of these countries are too worried about getting attacked by the triangle team. Of course, they will have to deal with the supplies going into Russia, but they had a plan for that, which is the pink team joining with Mercedes Alliance. I won't. So we do see the Mercedes Alliance and Triangle team eventually fighting each other in World War V, but I won't be worrying about that in this episode. Or not episode, video. What we will see happening, though, is these countries all invading into the Russians all at once, pretty much taking them by surprise. The Caucasians will do a very good job at taking over these areas here. In the south, as Russia is really not expecting this. They were especially really not expecting the pink team to join this war. However, due to the escalated tensions, they did have troops over in this area, so they will be able so they will be able to invade into this nation. However, with the support from, or with the very minimal support with the Brown Russian team. Oh, that's right, they do border the triangles. Okay, so we will see a bit happening over here. Alright, but we will see, for now, pink team troops, as well as American, Mexican, and other Mercedes Alliance team troops and supplies will be loaded into these two nations, especially the pink team. Any supplies from Europe or Africa are likely being shipped over to Poland, maybe Crimea, and Finland, and supplies from Persia, maybe India and Sri Lanka, or the South Indian Union, will be shipped over to Caucasia. So this will be the biggest war Caucasia will be fighting in this far, and it will go quite well on their side. Start. As Caucasia is able to inch their way up with the help of Polish troops and the west of the nation marching into Estonia, and in most parts being greeted with open arms, as Estonia was once a Scandinavian socialist nation that got overtaken by the Russians. And looking at ideology, the Poland is a communist nation. The only reason Russia is not able to really do anything here is because they are mostly unprepared for this war. They didn't really expect it to be happening. However, they will still be able to see some help, or not help, but success out in the western or eastern parts, as they are able to invade into the Cyan team, their former ally, and quickly be able to capture the capital. Most of this area here is able to be held off by Caucasian troops, but most of the other parts of the country will be able to hold themselves, and most of the country collapses over. So what we'll see happen is Caucasia will annex this part of the nation. We see this then become a staging ground for an invasion, a larger invasion into the pink team, heading over and capturing this major city here. Is that a major city? Wait, guess it's just darker. Oh, that looked green to me, so I am colorblind. Actually, red-green colorblind, which sucks because the Caucasia is a dark red. But we see, back to the video, we see the Russians continue their invasion well into the pink team. Eventually, they will start a march into that will go into the brown team in the north, and this will go quite well as they are quickly able to capture not just a major city, but the capital of the country as well. And in this area, it's not going to plan for uh, the Pentagon Alliance. We see the gold team is able to send their troops in over here. However, they're really fended off from the capital. They will be able to almost encircle it, only about halfway though. And here we see a big part of the war happen as the Siberians, along with troops the from China and the rest of the Triangle Alliance, are able to march in quite easily into this nation as there's not really much out here and it's quite undefended. Back in Crimea, or the gold team, they will branch out hoping to reach this major city and they will get quite close but just barely not be able to make it. We see Finnish troops finally enter in as they are able to capture St. Petersburg and to meet up with the Polish troops. They will kind of move around this area before they will be met with Russian troops. We see the Russians finally start pushing back against the countries as they mostly focus on the gold team being able to push back to the border of the nation. They will also almost completely push back this spearhead, and they will even push back the Caucasians, sadly. Over in this uh, nation here, after their fall of their capital, it really does not go well for them, as the country is just almost completely overrun. In the pink team, we see more and more troops and supplies come in from the Americans, although at this point, most of it is going over to the Eastern Europeans, as they're closer to the capital and they're more likely to reach the capital. Eventually, we see the Caucasians will push up through the plains here, recapturing the capital of the Cyan team, and pushing up, trying to meet up with the pink team, hoping to separate this area from the Russians. Hearing about what's happening, the pink team will then also attempt at doing this as well, and eventually they'll meet up with the Caucasians, which will very badly hurt the Russians as they're pushed out of most of this area. We see a couple small groups of the Russians kind of placed around in this area, but the majority of the uh, Russian army is killed or captured. Alright, so, alright, so moving up north, the Finnish are able to push a bit further in, as the Russians are still not entirely getting their troops up here yet. But once Finland starts nearing the city, we see a surprise attack by the Russians, cut in, and almost fully separate this from the main group. But we see the Finnish actually expecting this, and this group will become surrounded, and most of it will either flee or be captured. Poland will be able to capture all of this land near Finland, and they continue to creep towards the capital, meeting up with part of the gold team. However, the gold team is still losing this battle as they're pushed out and starting to be pushed in, losing a major city. Over in Caucasia, after what had happened in the Cyan team, morale is boosted up a bit, and they are able to capture two of the major cities and will attempt at a spearhead towards the next one. We see a naval landing be made over here in the Russian claims, and the Russians will be kicked out of this area. The same thing happens over here, and the Russians are pushed back in the pink team. At this point, we start seeing supplies from India get sent into Caucasia, and more Americans and European and even North African supplies enter Poland, Finland, and Crimea, and this will result in a major burst through Crimea, which will allow for them to grow, not grow, but expand into these areas, as well as kick out the Russians from their country. Poland will capture another major city and will, in ever so slightly, creep towards the capital of Russia. We see Finland continue marching down through these major cities, eventually taking a turn for the capital. And we see the three nations working together, and eventually they will close in on the capital, almost entirely circling it between the three countries. This area here will pretty much be split between Finland and Poland. And eventually we see the gold team will fully enclose and capture the capital of the Russians. With this happening, we see the gold team is able to push out into more of the Russian territory, capturing another major city and spearheading towards the next. However, this does come at a cost, as the northern Russian nation is fully capitulated, and another invasion from the far eastern part of the country of the pink team is made. With this happening, we see the Caucasians rush with the rest of the European parts of the Pentagon Alliance to close in on every major city. Eventually, they are able to capture this one here. Poland and Finnish, or Polish and Finnish troops will enter up here. And you see Finnish troops will march towards this capital, or not capital, this major city, and capture it. The gold team will set two small branches off, one connecting up with with Finland and Poland, and the other capturing this major city and kind of explore, or not exploring, but expanding outwards in it, or from it. Eventually, this area here is going to just split up between Finland and the gold team, and Finland continues to invade to the Russian territory. Eventually, what we will see happen is Russia is almost completely capitulated, as a large majority of their population is under Pentagon team control, and we see the pink team able to push back the countries over here. Eventually, they will liberate all of their territory, and the Caucasians will liberate all of the Cyan team. And eventually, the Russians will surrender over. I'll just have to keep that as that. And while the rest of this video continues on, World War V will also be continuing, but we just won't be seeing it all that much. So let's take a look at the peace treaty that we'll see. Alright, so here we have the peace treaty for this part of the war. I'm not going to be doing anything else. I did forget to do this, but I'm not really too worried on it because I have the plan for it. Alright, so let's start off with Russia gaining all of this land here, or not gaining it, but getting it back, and they get all of this up here as well. They will not be getting this over here, as it will return to the pink team. And all of this goes over to Seafoam Siberians. Now we will get to this, where we see this bit going over to Finland. These two pixels are also Russian. And this goes to Poland. It's not for Poland, but you know what? Okay. This goes to Poland. This goes to Estonia reforming. And you know this is just down here, but all this goes over to the gold team. Those pixels will too. And I'll fix the capital thing in a second. Caucasia will be getting all of this. growing their empire quite largely. And lastly, the pink team will be getting the rest of this. The new Russian capital will be placed. Oh, that's weird. There's not a major city there. Um, well, you know what? The new Russian capital will be the capital of this. That was in this brown team because I didn't get rid of that. Alright, and we see one last event happening this episode, and that will be the Caucasian invasion of the red team. This invasion will be backed by every member that was in the uh, Pentagon Alliance. However, two of these members no longer exist. So, yeah. And because one of those members is the pink team, um, we also see the some of the Mercedes Alliance members also joining this war. I kind of find it weird how Russia lost the war but gained the most land. But let's see the final war of the video, and it will actually go much quicker than you would think. Because at this point, Caucasia is definitely a top 10 power, probably not a top 5 power, as you've still got countries like India and China, America and Brazil, but definitely a top 10. We start off by seeing them invade down the Mediterranean coast, once securing this land so that it becomes much harder for the Mesopotamians to get supplies. They will invade along the Caspian Sea, quickly being able to take over a major city. They'll then go for many of the major cities near the border of the two countries, and they will protect around this major city. They'll move inwards from around where their capital is to help protect it. And we see Persia making a move onto the red team as they will be able to block off the red team from Mesopotamia, the Persian Gulf. Now that the red team is completely landlocked, we see Caucasia move in from from the north, capturing two major cities and meeting up in a third. This large encirclement will eventually be closed in on, and it doesn't take long before we see Persians capture a third major city and create another encirclement, which is quickly closed in on. We see another uh, spearhead form, this time aiming towards the capital. And like have said, like the red team definitely is a strong country, but Caucasia also having a military buff or boost or whatever you want to call it. They're just much stronger than the red team at this point. But eventually, what we see happening is the capital getting completely encircled by Caucasian troops, as the red team is split in half quite quickly. All of this taking place within about 2 months. Eventually, this encirclement here is closed in on, and the capital's captured, leading to the surrendering of the red team. And we'll just see all of it gets annexed by Caucasia. Actually, the Persians will get their share. Alright. So here is the final map of this area. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.